Now for the AC line, this is the Sandon compressor that's bolted in. This is an ICT billet mount for this Sandon compressor. So here's your new AC compressor. Your two lines you can see right here coming in. That's a number 8, and the thicker one's a number 10. And then there's a number 8. The number 10 is the hot return from the evaporator inside the interior of the car. So that's the hottest that you have to route back here. Then the compressor pressurizes that, and then you run this size 8 AC hose into the top of the condenser. And then we'll follow that along. So these AC lines here, I have to wrap with some of the aluminum heat conductive material because the header you can see is just north of this. And I also need to wrap the headers. So these AC lines then feed into silicone because I had to clamp them down on the hot water aluminum pipe, and therefore I wrapped them in silicone and have plenty of zip ties here. So I got really creative and just had a zip tie party, but I will knuckle down and do some better engineering on this. So right now, that's not anything that I'm going to keep on permanently. So I'm going to get some better tie down systems for that. So the two AC lines then are strapped next to the aluminum line, and underneath the car near the engine bay, those AC lines are here. Then they finally come out of their silicone. Then they make a turn over to the passenger side of the car with some Adele clamps here, stainless steel with rubber to protect them. Drilled in POR 15, that's an M5 stainless steel button head Allen with a 3mm Allen wrench socket on it. And then those two AC lines are still fastened down. Then they go in underneath the rocker on the passenger side. So let's look at that. So there are your two AC lines now, your number 8 and your number 10. The number 10, the thicker one, is from the evaporator underneath the dashboard. And then the number 8 is more compressed from the compressor that's running to the condenser in the front, which is right off the radiator. So those two AC lines now they're near the coolant line, but they're tightly fastened underneath the rocker here. And then they run down the side of the car. And here we are now in the front of the car, showing the cooling line coming. This is the quick jack here. This is the aluminum cooling line. This is cool on the passenger side. This is going this way back to the engine because it's cool. It just came out of the radiator, and it's also cool water from the heater if you happen to have the heat on, which cools water. Here are your two AC lines, Adele clamps again. Adele clamps everywhere, liberal use, Adele clamps here. Then you make a turn. Now where I am is right below the smuggler's box. And the smuggler's box is here because I know these are the bolts that I need to tighten down still for the battery mount. So I need to bolt the bottom of the battery holder here. This is cool water. Here's the aluminum pipe. Now those two AC lines come up this way. The smuggler's box is right here. This is the bottom of the smuggler's box because the bottom of the battery is here. And then you get a number 90 for an 8 and a number 90 for a 10, and then go into a bulkhead pass-through for a combination 8-10. So it's an aluminum fitting that spaces a number 8 black aluminum to go through whatever size hole it is that fits this bulkhead pass-through. And then these fittings, these are from Vintage Air in San Antonio. In fact, these are the Easy Snap fittings this is all Vintage Air, all my AC lines. Then these two 90s with the two nuts bolt into those black threads, which is a bulkhead pass-through combination 8 and 10 hose. And then that goes up into the smuggler's box. So the AC now, the AC lines are, they're more vertical in the car, and now you have to deal with them in the smuggler's box and then the trunk. So now I'm in the smuggler's box, and you can see these two AC lines right here. Here's your 8 and here's your 10. This 10's from the evaporator under the dash. This 8 comes up. This flow is back to the compressor on the engine. And this 8 comes, this is flow that's coming this way out of the compressor. And you can barely, there's not enough room here. You can see the fittings on the bulkhead pass through down there. The battery's here with its mounting cage. We talked about the fuel lines there going through there, and then a lot of the wiring that goes through the tunnel. These are heater hoses. So they're routing this way. You have a cool heater hose and a hot heater hose. So the number 10 comes, there's a large hole. You can probably see it. You see if I can get back there. There's a large hole that comes OEM in a vintage, either whatever year it is. There's a large oval hole. You can see the edge of it right there. There's some wire looms, and then the number 10 that comes out of the evaporator. So you're getting your 10 that comes out of the evaporator and then sending it back to the compressor this way. Your 8 is coming from the compressor on the engine. And then I made a 90-degree turn, which you can see right there. And then there's the 6 below it. The 8 is that 90-degree turn, and then the 6 is a straight fitting, which goes into the evaporator in the dash. So it just comes out and then continues. It comes out of the bulkhead this way, near the fuel, next to the fuel cell, and then runs back into the evaporator under the dash in the smuggler's box this way. So you're running your, now I'll show you what happens. So the number 8, now this is the bottom of the fuel cell on the right side of the front trunk. You can see the number 8 down there. That is pretty much, it's sitting in air. So it's about a 1/2 of an inch away from, it's not moving, and it's very sturdy. And it comes over up and then curves up here, and then there's a 90, and then that 90 goes into the condenser here with the number, this is a number 8 filling. So the number 8 for a typical just vanilla flavored AC system, the number 8 line comes into the top of the condenser, and then on the bottom of the condenser on the same side, you have a number 6. So the number 6 comes out here. Try to focus that. Comes out there. And then you can see the 6 coming out of there on the 90. And then the 6 comes up to the dryer here. So this is right out of the condenser. And then this 6 enters the dryer and then comes out of the dryer and then goes this way. And I showed you that in the smuggler's box, that 6 goes right to the evaporator. So dryers are 6 in, number 6 line out. This is a trinary switch here, which really uses, you send your compressor clutch cable through here so that when the pressure is high enough here, you cannot turn, you're not really supposed to run the clutch on your compressor to build up pressure unless you have adequate certain pressures in your line. So when this is high enough, this will also trigger the cooling fans as well. Because if the trinary switch is the master switch that determines really if your AC system is on, with the compressor is going to run. And then if your AC system is fully, so the trinary switch is controlling 2 things at the same time. It's turning on your clutch on the compressor on the engine, and it feeds a negative wire, a hot negative to the cooling fans. So you have to relay that either on number 85 or 86. So you have key on positive power, and then this negative goes to the other 86 or 85 of the relay. And then you run your number 87, which is a very strong positive, like on a 12-aught wire, on the cooling fans, and then a very powerful ground with a 12-aught black wire directly to your battery for a defined current path. And then that'll turn on your fans. So your cooling fans can either turn on by 180 degrees for hot water from the engine, or your AC system if you turn your AC system on. So there you go. That's the dryer with the trinary switch in it. And your number 6 is going into and coming out of the dryer exclusively. This is the number 8 coming in from the compressor on the engine. On the bottom of a condenser, you have a number 6 that comes out, just feeds into the input of the dryer. After the dryer, the number 6, that 6 goes into the evaporator underneath the dash. And then there's a number 10 that comes out of an evaporator that you run back to the compressor. Now I'm inside the interior of the car underneath the dashboard. So you have, these are heater hoses coming out right here, and then a bunch of wire looms. And then the AC lines come here. This is your number 10, the thick one that comes out of the evaporator. This is the AC evaporator right here. The number 10 that comes out, which is a bigger hose, that goes to the compressor on the engine. This is the number 6 line that comes out of the dryer that goes into, this is the low density cool Freon, right, your R134A that comes into your evaporator. Then this is lower pressure that goes back to the compressor. That has to be pressurized then. Then a bunch of wiring. Wiring's a different topic. So that concludes this video on the full AC system plumbing. Just to finish up, this is the evaporator for the AC. This came from Renegade Hybrids, and it's very similar to the underdash universal mount AC system from Vintage Air in San Antonio. So everybody and their brother makes an underdash universal slim like this. So 3 vents. This is an aluminum mount here that I wired up the cable that opens up the heater valve. So the heater valve is under there. I suppose I could, I'm not going to show it now, but at any rate, you have 3 fan levels and then cooling. This is your thermostat for cool. And it's pretty good. So this is on a relay. I bought a special, in particular, a good Bosch underdash relay that doesn't need to be a waterproof relay like the ones I'm using in the front trunk engine bay. So overall, pretty cool. So I have full AC in a 1968 Porsche that was air-cooled, driven by a 90 horsepower, 1600cc 4-cylinder engine. So there you go. If you get the additional power from a V8, you can run AC and have a lot of other benefits as well. So it's a new install of heat as well, because as you know, for the air-cooled engines, you were drawing heat from the hot air that went by the cylinder cooling. So there you go.